23rd.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, you guys ready? May we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Becky, can you do a roll?
Councilwoman Spain? Here. Councilman Hoy?
Here.
Councilman Husky? Here. Supervisor Dunn is absent. Deputy Supervisor Larock? Deputy Supervisor Larock?
Oh, I'm here. I thought you were just talking to yourself.
No, don't usually do that.
Well, I do, so that's why I thought. This public hearing will now be opened at 6:31. Just a couple of things. It will be a two-part public hearing. Because the initial notice of publication of it did not have the 5-day writing time, legally, according to the state comptroller, we can continue this public hearing when it's finished tonight until the 13th. The notice for the 13th, Becky, is sent out, so that will be official, but we can talk tonight and then talk again on the 13th. We will not adjourn the meeting tonight, or the public hearing. We will hold it in continuance until the 13th. That is the opinion from the legal department of the state comptroller's office. We're not going to put a 5-minute time limit like on normal meetings, but we would ask that you keep your comments relatively brief, but we're not going to run a stopwatch on you tonight. Other than that, we'll open the floor to whoever wants to speak, and just stand up or sit down and identify yourself so that Becky has a record. And is there anyone that wishes to speak?
I have a question.
Pardon me, I'm just going to do one. I'm sorry.
Did you want me to read the legal notice?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Becky. Becky has to read the legal notice first. I apologize.
Legal notice. Notice of public hearing. The Town of Grafton will be holding a public hearing on the preliminary budget for 2025 on Thursday, November 7th at 6:30. A second public hearing will be held on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 at 6:30. Also, the meetings will be held at the Grafton Town Hall, 2379 New York Route 2, Grafton. A copy of the preliminary budget is available at the town clerk's office during regular town clerk hours. The purpose of the meeting is to provide the public with an opportunity to comment on the preliminary budget for 2025. The following is the proposed salaries included in this budget. Town supervisor, $9,000. Town board members, $3,000 each annually, for a total of $12,000. Town clerk, $13,500. Highway superintendent, $67,200. Respectfully submitted, Rebecca L. Green, town clerk.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me. So,
My question was, will the budget be passed at the board meeting? So the workshop or the preliminary will go at 6:30, and then the regular board meeting's at 7. Will the budget
the
be
board
passed?
has the opportunity to pass it that night if they wish to. If they receive comment tonight or the 13th that they wish to make any changes, they can they have till December 20th to pass the budget. So they could even do it at their December meeting. So probably to answer that, a lot will depend on what happens out of the two public hearings and what the board members wish to do from there.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak?
Mr. Deputy Supervisor, I just wanted to commend the board for this budget. I see that it's going to be a decrease of 2.5%. That's admirable, and I think during these times, economically, it's a wise move, and I want to thank the board for doing that collectively. I do know we're looking at a 12.9% with the fire department, so I don't know that really a lot of savings for the residents, but I think it's important to note that. One of the things I'm seeing in the budget is a request for money relative to the dog kennel. And I wanted to share with the town board that there's some changes in the county that are happening, not at the county level, but in this case, the city of Troy. The city of Troy is currently building a kennel at the DPW garage, and they currently have 15 cages, and there's room for more. I think it would be wise for this board to consider authorizing the town supervisor to reach out to the city of Troy's mayor for a shared services agreement to really look into this and consider it. Based upon my experience with this town board and listening to the reports and participating in this, seems to me that we don't really hang on to a lot of dogs. It seems like it might be advantageous to reach out to the city to see if maybe a shared services agreement could be put in place. I understand now we're going to Hudson. It gets expensive. I think you could actually show a little more savings on this, and you meet with, speak with the mayor, have the town attorney reach out to the city of Troy's deputy, the corporation counsel, to see if we can find some common ground. I would highly recommend that, and this board would authorize the town supervisor to do that. I would encourage that. Secondly, on that note, this savings could really help. How many dogs does a town supervisor, the dog officer get per year? Would you say 3 maybe? So it seems to me this might be a little cheaper way to do it than whatever it is that's in the budget right now. So I would encourage that, and just as a participant and a town resident, I think that could be advantageous for everyone. I also wanted to say, I'm noticing the cooperation, and in the budget it talks about giving the town supervisor her assistant to assist her again. And I couldn't help but notice that you're here today, Mr. Deputy, serving in your deputy position, and I want to thank you also for doing that. So there's clearly a need for this, and I want to thank the board for also recognizing that need prior to this. This is exactly why we have an assistant and a supervisor assistant. So I want to thank this board for doing that. I don't know who's responsible. I'm sure Pierce, you are playing a role in that. Councilwoman DeShane, I want to thank you for that. I wish the rest of the board would be on board with that. Let's get the supervisor what she needs. It's long overdue, and I salute you guys for doing that. I yield back the floor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
Rob Loveday, just want to say I'm impressed with the fact that there is a supervisor secretary line. If I'm looking at this correctly, it would be a secretary to the supervisor. Is this correct?
Correct.
Okay, that is excellent. That's a great decision that you've made, and I hope that you've actually finalized it and that it's not still pending. And if it is still pending, I would appreciate that you would, or I would suggest that you make it final and make that happen. And just to tag on to what David said, it's impressive that these changes are taking place, and you're making the town work more efficiently and helping the residents of the town by doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who wishes to speak?
At previous meeting, Doug, you had mentioned that the county sales tax had again increased this year. Has there been any word from the county on the appropriation of money to the town of Grafton?
No, once they pass their budget, yeah, and they haven't yet. Their financial office determined it. You can speak better to that than I can.
No, that's, we'll have numbers when they pass the budget by December, like us, in December 7th or something like that.
Yeah.
The county budget. Then we'll get numbers for next year.
And the second part of my question is, if the town does receive an increase in money from the previous year, is it possible that money could be funneled to the fire district to reduce that 13% increase on the tax bill?
I know that anything that the town would have to give to the fire department it would have to come in the form of a gift or something along that line. Excuse me, right?
I looked into that.
Yeah.
Because they're a separate taxing entity.
Right.
So it would be a grant, basically, that the
Right.
town would give them. So we're working on that, to offset some of the costs.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna, I think it's gonna be minuscule, just to break it down, but that's what the town attorney said.
If the fire district budget is approved as is, it would raise your taxes 5.5 cents per thousand of evaluation. That's just the raw number. Just the raw number. You know, sometimes when you look at percentages versus actual pennies on the dollar, one or the other can be misleading. And I'm not defending anything, but 12.9% actually breaks down to 5.5 cents per thousand increase in your tax bill in the fire district. So just for whatever purpose you want on that.
And they're way, way below what they actually could charge the town residents. So, thank God we have them, and they do a great job, and we try to assist them in anything we can.
Anybody else who would like to speak?
Mr. Deputy, I just want to confirm that in the absence of Ann Calabro, who notoriously and routinely films these meetings, the acting town clerk will be putting this online.
Yes.
Thank you.
What does that have to do with the budget?
I just want to make sure it's being shared publicly, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
thank
being
you very much
recorded.
for your
Thank you.
assistance. Thank you. Thank you. I yield back to Florida.
Anybody else like to speak? Nancy?
Nancy LaRock. I just want to commend the board also for putting the secretary back in. We've gone 20 years, I think it's been more than 20 years, but in the past 20 years, we only had one supervisor from the investigation I did, only one supervisor that didn't use a secretary. And I believe that it should be put back in, it should have never been taken out to begin with. But thank you very much for putting it back in.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, legally, I have to ask that 2 more times. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? And for the 3rd time and final, is there anybody else that wishes to speak? As I mentioned then, we will hold this public hearing in continuance until 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, November the 13th. Unless any of the members of the board have anything they want to add or say.
Did you want to talk about what this budget has in terms of taxes, numbers?
Yeah, I can do that.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, the tax rate for the general fund reduces the amount collected in taxes by 2.4% minus. So that basically means the amount to be raised by taxes will go down by 2.4%. When that comes to actual dollars or pennies per the dollar, it's like 0.5 cent per thousand of assessed valuation. It's basically flat. And the highway budget is exactly at 0. It does not change the amount of money to be raised by taxes. To do that, because expenditures have gone up, the budget will use $64,150 from the unexpended fund balance to keep the tax rate basically at 0. The money is there to do that, and the board felt that they should use that money to keep the tax rate at 0 for everyone this year. There's also money coming out of the highway fund, unexpended fund balance, for the exact same purpose. Their revenues are flat, their appropriations are up by 26,000, so the board pulled that money out of the unexpended fund balance there to keep the amount raised by taxes at 0% across it. And the fire department is looking for approximately $14,000 more than last year. But again, that's, as I said, was up to 5.5 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. So that's what that is. The other parts of it are pretty well static. The board chose to keep most of the requests from the department heads at where they were. And everybody seems to have a budget that's not going to raise taxes on anyone this year, which, given the economic climate, I don't think anybody has a problem with. Anything else, any members? Good, Jody?
I am.
Okay, we're in continuance on this until 6:30, Wednesday the 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
coming.